Good morning. Another first run today in a shoe that I just got in. This is the New Balance SC Elite V4. I've run in the New Balance SC Elite V2 and I found that shoe very comfortable and soft, but the carbon plate in that shoe really wasn't that stiff, wasn't as propulsive as some other options, and the foam to me was a little bit too soft, that I sunk in too much to it. Then the next version, they really changed the upper a lot. Made it more of like a booty construction. I didn't get that version of the shoe. And I have the Chicago Marathon coming up, so I'm really trying to dial in what's going to be the best shoe for me for that race. Right now I kind of have it narrowed down to the Puma DV8 Elite 3 or the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. But I find the Saucony shoe not as propulsive, more comfortable, more stable. The Puma shoe is more propulsive, more bouncy, lighter, but it is still on the narrow side, and I'm a larger runner. I'm 6'4", I'm 230 pounds. I do overpronate a little bit on my right side, so I do need a shoe that gives me some stability. So I'm just a little bit concerned about the Puma shoe over 26.2. I thought I'd give these ones a try since they do have a wider base, and this is a new formulation of the fuel cell foam that New Balance is using for the first time, where this is 100% PIBA, where in the past it's been a blend of EVA and PIBA in there. Okay, 25-minute warm-up done. I finished just more than a 5K, 3.14 miles, averaging 7:59 pace. So again, my easy pace is more like 8:30. So these did have me ticking along, bouncing along at a little bit faster than my true easy pace. I'm also getting a bit more fit as well, so I should be going a little bit faster, easier. But first impression on these shoes, running at slower pace, they kind of feel like the Super Blast, but like the Super Blast Plus. And what I mean by that is these have the pure PIBA foam, where the Super Blast has two different types of foam in it, so it feels firmer and less bouncy. This shoe, you can definitely feel a large amount of bounce from this PIBA based foam that I'm used to in a shoe like Nike Zoom X. And it has a carbon plate in there as the stiffening agent and to give you a little bit of propulsion. This though, I've seen some other reviews that said this, and I would agree, this is more of a friendly super shoe. The upper is a little bit more generous. There's actually a lot of room in the toe box. It's kind of comes up large there, so if someone has a wider foot, this might be the best fitting super shoe I've tried so far for someone that needs that. If you just have like a foot with more volume, the toe box of this is very nice for that. It's a little bit more room than I need, but it also gives me some room for my toes to splay out there, so not finding it uncomfortable. The tongue in these is kind of weird. It's like almost like a felt material with cutouts in it, but when I think felt, I don't think light and breathable. So we'll see how that plays out. It's a non-gusseted tongue, but I haven't had any issues with it moving around yet. I also saw some people say that they experienced heel slip in this shoe, so rather than find that out for myself, I did do a runner's knot in these, and I have like just enough lace. So I was able to do a runner's knot and a double knot, and there's like just a teeny bit left. I have to say though, comfort is the main thing that I'm getting from these. They do feel a little bit more stable. I am noticing a little bit of overpronation still on my right foot, so it's not completely stable. It's hard to be completely stable with the stack this high and a soft foam. So the second part of this run, I'm going to turn up the pace, and then I have a cool down. So we'll see how this shoe feels at faster paces. So I just finished 25 minutes at more of a tempo pace. I think I was averaging around 7:30 pace for that section of the run. And there's pros and cons here, and part of it has to do with me as well. I feel like I didn't get that great of a sleep last night. My legs are feeling a little heavy today. You know, some days you just feel like you got it, and other days you feel like you don't. Today was a day where I feel like I didn't have it, so I don't think I was giving my best effort to these shoes today. But when I first turned up the pace at the beginning of the speedier part of this run, they really came alive. Like this foam does like to go faster. Once you're moving, it feels more responsive and more propulsive. However, I definitely have to say though, I've seen some other reviews of this shoe saying this might be a good first super shoe if you haven't run in a carbon plate shoe before. It's a little bit gentler than some of the ones out there, and I'd have to agree with that as well. The fact that this has a very low drop, I believe it's only 4 or 5 millimeters. It's very high in the heel, and then doesn't really go down that much in the forefoot. So there's a lot of padding in the forefoot, which is nice, but there's also not a very extreme rocker to this shoe. So it's relying more on the bounce than the roll. So it's a really pleasant bounce from stride to stride that kind of keeps you ticking along at a consistent pace. But I also feel like it's a little bit harder to run faster in this shoe because it's not as aggressive in that forward lean and the toe off. Also, it's not a heavy shoe, but it's heavy on the heavy side for a super shoe. I believe this weighs around the same as the Alpha Fly. I'll double check that, but it's heavier than all of the other super shoes I have, I believe. I'll double check that when I get home. It doesn't feel like a heavy shoe, but it is a large shoe. So similar to like when you're running in the Super Blast or Invincible run or something like that, where you just have that much foam under your foot, it just feels a little bit bottom heavy. I will agree with that assessment of this shoe. So I'm not sure if this is a marathon shoe for me or not. Well, I have to do some more runs before I figure that out for sure. What I do like about it is it's wider, it's more stable than the Puma shoe. That shoe is definitely more sprightly though, it's faster. So if I'm gonna go out that day and try and get a personal best and give it my all, I don't think this is the shoe for that. But if I don't think I'm gonna go for a Boston qualifying time and I wanna have a nice day, this shoe is gonna protect my legs, it's gonna bounce along, it's gonna lock into that marathon pace. I don't think this is a racing shoe that I would reach for really anything other than a marathon or a half marathon. But even a half marathon, I would feel like I could do a lighter, faster shoe because I'm not gonna need this much cushioning for that distance. So I think this is really designed to be a marathon racing shoe. And I think if someone's running slower paces, like if you're running over not trying to get under 3, this is a shoe that'll work for most runners. I think if you're trying to run under a 3-hour marathon or anything faster than that, there's a lot of shoes that are going to be better for that than this one. I'm also a little bit different than your normal marathon runner with my size and weight, so I need a little bit more stability in some of these smaller, quicker runners.
All right, so here's the deal with this shoe. Is it a good shoe? Yes. Would I use it to race anything other than a marathon? Definitely not. Would I use it to race a marathon? Only if my goal was to save my legs, have a nice day, make it to the finish in stability and comfort. I've got 23 miles on this shoe right now. I used it in a couple different runs, an easy run, tempo run, and a fast finish long run. And while it does do all right at picking up the pace, I think really the lack of the big rocker in this shoe, and you don't really feel the plate that much in here. It is a firm shoe. It does have a carbon plate, but it's just really not that stiff feeling. You're getting a lot of cushioning here in the heel to the midfoot. So landing anywhere in this area, it really does squish in. You have that energy arc cut out here, which allows that to expand a bit here. So you really do get some nice sink in and bounce from this shoe. However, since the forefoot is really not that much lower than the heel, you don't get a really aggressive toe off with this shoe. So it just kind of pleasantly sinks in and bounces and kind of leaves you rolling along, but really doesn't have an aggressive toe off, and it really does kind of feel bottom heavy, where I would not want to use this for a 5K or a fast mile. It's just too much shoe to get moving, and I feel like that midsole is kind of getting in the way because it's so tall kind of the whole way out. I think weight is also a bit of a problem with this shoe. If you look at my chart there, this is coming in at 10.05 ounces in a 12.5, which is the same weight as the Saucony Endorphin Speed. But the Saucony Endorphin Speed is not a race shoe. It has a lower stack. It's not designed to be the top of the line racer over $200. You can see it is a little bit lighter than the Super Blast, but pretty much every other race shoe that I have is lighter than this. The Alpha Fly is lighter. All the other speeds, the Adios Pro 3, the Saucony Endorphin Pro, obviously the Saucony Endorphin Elite, all those shoes are lighter than this one. One of the reasons for that weight, though, is this has a very wide platform. It is a very stable shoe for a super shoe. You can see how wide it is in the forefoot as well as the midfoot and heel. So this is a very stable shoe. I think this is good if someone is a bit of an overpronator or a heavier runner. There's a lot of cushioning and support there where it's going to be a stable shoe for you. Also, there is a lot of room in the toe box here and also the midfoot, and a lot of these race shoes really come in narrow in this midfoot where this one doesn't. So I think this one is very accommodating. It's very comfortable. It's just not as fast as some of the other ones that are out. If you look at this compared to the Super Blast, you can see they have a very similar footprint. These two shoes are both very large. The Super Blast has even a higher stack. This one is 45 in the heel, 37 in the forefoot, but the New Balance really doesn't look like it's that much smaller than another kind of interesting thing. The Super Blast does not have a plate. It just has the Flight Foam Turbo Plus foam and then the Blast Plus on the bottom, but this foam is a lot firmer than the fuel cell that's in this shoe. So even though this doesn't have a carbon plate, it actually kind of feels more firm when you're standing in it than this one does. This one has more bounce, it has more energy return, but it actually kind of feels less propulsive than the Super Blast. The matchup that I'll probably do soon is I'll take this out against the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 and maybe even mix in the Super Blast 2 and just see how these three shoes compare, one right after the other. But the Saucony to me is less bouncy, it's less soft. It has more of a significant roll though. The speed roll technology in this, I feel like it feels like a smaller shoe than this one. It feels less heavy, which it is. This one's coming in at 9.1 ounces. It also has somewhat of a wider footprint for a super shoe. So these two shoes are both on the stable side. I think they're also going to be both pretty durable with the amount of rubber coverage that they have. I feel like the New Balance is a little bit more comfortable. It's a little bit more bouncy, but I find it harder to keep a faster pace in this shoe than this one. This one I can kind of get into the 7-minute mile range, and this one feels more natural there, where I kind of feel like I got to work harder to keep this one at that pace. Where I did an easy run in this yesterday. I did 7 miles in about an hour, just over 7 miles, and it really felt great in the 8-minute mile pace range. Where a lot of times I'll just kind of run and see where a shoe feels comfortable. This to me felt comfortable in the 8s, but it didn't really want me to go much faster than that. It wasn't encouraging me to increase my cadence. It wasn't encouraging me to really want to run faster. So again, if I was going to try and run like a 3:30 marathon, I think this would be great for that. It's going to be super comfortable. I'm not pushing the pace that much. It's stable and supportive. But if I wanted to try and run faster than that, I think this is going to hold me back a little bit because of that weight and the fact that it's giving me more of that squish and bounce, but less of that propulsive feel. So is this a good marathon shoe? Yes, I think this will work really well for a lot of runners. It's comfortable, it's stable, it's supportive, it's bouncy. I just don't think it's as fast as a lot of the competitors, and I really wouldn't want to use this for a shorter race like a 5K or 10K. I feel like almost every other shoe I have is going to be more propulsive than this, because this one I am sinking into it a little bit more. I'm getting that bounce back, but it's just really not that propulsive. This shoe new is also $250, so this is a premium priced super shoe. The Saucony there is $225, the Puma shoe is $230, the Super Blast is $200, so all those shoes undercut this one in price. I have not run in any of the New Balance SC Trainer models. I know that's another one that's very popular with a lot of people as a training shoe. It still has a carbon plate. The latest version of that though has a blend of PIBA and EVA. It's not pure PIBA like this shoe, so I imagine it'll feel a little bit firmer, a little bit less bouncy. But that one's also $179 versus $250. So you're paying extra here for that full PIBA foam in this shoe. But I kind of feel like this shoe performs for me similar to what the SC Trainer is supposed to do. This to me kind of feels more like a Supertrainer than a race shoe. It has that bouncy, comfortable feel. I feel like this is going to be great for long miles, long runs, but I feel like it's missing a little something for race day where I want a little bit lighter shoe, a little bit more propulsive shoe. So to me, this might be one of the best long run shoes. That's something where I really enjoy the Super Blast for that. This feels bouncier than the Super Blast. It feels like it's going to be more efficient than that shoe for longer efforts, but I also don't feel like it's going to give me that extra speed that I'm looking for from a race shoe. So buy it, weight, or second rate, I would not pay full price for this shoe. I still do think it's a good shoe. I was able to get a discount on it as a first responder, so that was good that I was able to get that discount, because to me, I'd look at this as being an excellent training shoe, but for race day, I'm going to look for something a little bit faster. I'd also like to hear from you. Have you run in this shoe? What do you think about it? Do you think have experience kind of similar to mine, or this is the best race shoe you've ever run in? Let me know in the comments what you think about the New Balance SC Elite V4. I'm getting close to 900 subscribers now. I need to get to 1,000 before YouTube cares that I'm here. It's been over a year, so hopefully I'll make this channel into something one day. If you're watching the videos and enjoying the content and haven't subscribed, please do, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.